Hello and welcome to the show. Today we're diving headfirst into the wonderful, wacky world of European Union legislation with a countdown of the top 10 dumbest EU laws. You won't believe some of the ridiculous regulations that have been put in place. We're talking laws so specific, so utterly baffling, that you'll be left wondering if the people who wrote them were accidentally dipped in fondue and then chased through a dictionary factory. Buckle up, because things are about to get weird. Coming in at number 10, we have a regulation that proves the EU takes its fruit very, very seriously. You see, in the EU, not just any banana will do. Oh no, my friends, we have standards. EU regulations dictate that bananas must be free from abnormal curvature. That's right, overly curved bananas are a no-go. Now, I'm no banana scientist, but I've eaten my fair share of the bendy yellow fruit, and I've yet to encounter a curve so aggressive that it warranted international legislation. What constitutes abnormal curvature, you ask? Well, the EU, in its infinite wisdom, has determined that bananas must be free from malformations and abnormal curvature of the fingers. Fingers? Who's out there looking at a banana thinking, my word, those are some unsightly fingers you have there, old boy? The mind boggles. But wait, there's more. The regulation goes on to specify that bananas should, and I quote, be able to be presented as single fingers. So not only do your bananas need to be straight, but they also need to be independent. God forbid a banana should rely on its fellow banana for support. Coming in at number 9, we have a law that's so ridiculous, it's enough to make you spit out your non-hydrating water. That's right, in the EU, water cannot be labeled as hydrating. I know what you're thinking. But John, water is literally the definition of hydrating. It's what plants crave. It's what keeps us alive. And you would be right, dear viewer, but try telling that to the EU. Apparently, after 3 years of scientific study, the EU concluded that, and I quote, there was insufficient evidence to prove the claim. They needed 3 years and countless taxpayer dollars to determine that water, the thing that makes up over half our bodies, is not hydrating? Look, I'm not a scientist, but I'm pretty sure if you stopped drinking water you'd be hard-pressed to find a doctor who wouldn't describe your resulting condition as dehydrated. But sure, EU, tell us more about how water isn't hydrating. I'm sure bottled kale juice is a much more scientifically sound source of hydration. Hold on to your party hats, folks, because coming in at number 8 is a law that's sure to take the air out of your next birthday celebration. In the EU, children under the age of 8 are prohibited from blowing up balloons without adult supervision. Yes, you heard that right. Those colorful inflatable balls of joy, deadly weapons in the hands of the under 8s, apparently. I can just imagine the EU Council meeting now. Gentlemen, we have a serious issue on our hands. Children are blowing up balloons. Without supervision. Think of the consequences. Look, I understand the importance of child safety, but this is just ridiculous. Are we really so terrified of a little bit of helium that we need to regulate the way children interact with balloons? What's next? Are we going to ban bubbles without a licensed bubbleologist present? Will we require children to wear safety goggles before looking at a bouncy castle? The world is a dangerous place, but I think we can all agree that balloons are not the enemy here. Coming in at number 7 is a law that's less about food safety and more about, well, I'm not entirely sure what it's about. In the EU, it is perfectly legal to slaughter and sell a horse for meat. However, it is illegal to sell that same horse meat for human consumption if the animal was previously a pet. Yes, you heard that right. You can eat a horse, but only if it wasn't somebody's beloved companion. Apparently the EU draws a very clear line between dinner and Mr. Ed. Now, I'm not here to judge anyone's dietary choices. You want to eat horse meat? Knock yourself out. But this law seems less about protecting consumers and more about protecting the feelings of horses? Or maybe it's about protecting the feelings of horse owners. I don't know, but I do know that if I'm ever served horse meat, the last thing on my mind is going to be the emotional state of the animal in question. Hold on to your stomachs, folks, because coming in at number 6 is a law that's guaranteed to back you up. In the EU, it is illegal to market prunes as a natural laxative. Yes, you heard that right. Those wrinkly little dried plums, known for their, shall we say, digestive benefits, can no longer be advertised as nature's solution to constipation. Apparently, the EU has decided that prunes are simply too powerful, too effective, well, you get the idea. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I've read enough cereal boxes to know that prunes have a long and storied history of, shall we say, getting things moving. But apparently the EU is worried that if people knew about the prune's true potential, they'd be dropping like flies. So, the next time you're feeling a little backed up, remember, you didn't hear it from me, but a certain dried fruit might be just what the doctor ordered. Just don't tell the EU. At number 5, we have a law that proves the EU takes its weekends very, very seriously. In many EU countries, it is illegal to use noisy lawnmowers on Sundays. Yes, you heard that right. Those gas-guzzling, ear-splitting machines that we all know and tolerate, banned on the Sabbath. Apparently the EU believes that Sunday should be a day of rest, relaxation, and absolutely no lawn care whatsoever. Now I'm all for a little peace and quiet, but this law seems a bit excessive. What about people who work all week and only have Sunday to mow their lawns? What about people who find the gentle hum of a lawnmower strangely soothing? What about people who just really hate their neighbors and enjoy waking them up at the crack of dawn with the roar of a two-stroke engine? This law is clearly a violation of their rights. Coming in at number 4 is a law that's sure to make you see red, or maybe just a slightly warmer shade of yellow. In the EU, the sale of incandescent light bulbs is banned. Yes, you heard that right. Those old-fashioned energy-wasting bulbs that your grandparents swore by? Gone. Outlawed. Replaced by those weird, swirly CFL bulbs that make your house look like a spaceship. Now, I understand the need to conserve energy, but this law seems a bit heavy-handed. What about people who prefer the warm, inviting glow of an incandescent bulb? What about people who are creeped out by the cold, sterile light of CFLs? What about people who just really enjoy watching a light bulb burn out? This law is clearly a violation of their rights. Coming in at number 3 is a law that's utterly ridiculous. In the EU, the term milk is strictly reserved for products that come from animals. Yes, you heard that right. That carton of almond milk in your fridge? That creamy soy latte you had this morning? Technically, they're not allowed to call themselves milk. Apparently, the EU believes that the word milk is sacred, a term to be used only for the white, watery secretion produced by lactating mammals. Now, I'm not a linguist, but this law seems a bit pedantic. What about coconut milk? What about rice milk? What about the milk of human kindness? Are we really going to start policing the English language to this extent? This law is clearly a violation of our right to call things whatever we want. Coming in at number 2 is a law that's sure to leave you parched. In the EU, bottled water companies are prohibited from claiming that their product prevents dehydration. Yes, you heard that right. Those plastic bottles of purified H2O that you buy by the caseload? They're not allowed to tell you that they'll quench your thirst. Apparently the EU believes that such a claim would be misleading, as dehydration is a complex medical condition that cannot be cured by something as simple as drinking water. Now, I'm not a doctor, but this law seems a bit absurd. What about the fact that our bodies are made up of mostly water? What about the fact that we need water to survive? What about the fact that drinking water is literally the most basic way to rehydrate yourself? This law is clearly a violation of our right to common sense. And finally, the number 1 dumbest EU law is the ban on overly curved cucumbers. That's right, folks, we've come full circle. Just like their banana brethren, cucumbers sold in the EU must also adhere to strict regulations regarding their curvature. Apparently the EU believes that consumers are incapable of looking at a cucumber and deciding for themselves whether or not it's too bendy. They need the government to step in and protect them from the scourge of overly curved cucumbers. I don't know about you, but I'm starting to think that the EU has a bit of a god complex when it comes to produce. They're like the Michelangelo of fruits and vegetables, meticulously sculpting the perfect banana, the ideal cucumber, the platonic ideal of a carrot. Well, there you have it, the top 10 dumbest EU laws you won't believe exist. We've laughed, we've cried, we've questioned the very fabric of reality. But most importantly, we've learned that the EU takes its regulations very, very seriously. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more interesting content. And be sure to let us know in the comments which law you found the most ridiculous. Until next time, stay informed, stay curious, and whatever you do, don't eat any unauthorized horse meat.